Welcome to Strange Attractors Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Hi, strange friends. And hi, Christine. We are back. We are live. It feels so good. And Christine, I haven't said this for almost 3 months. How was your week?
Wonderful. So far, so good.
Yes. Any performances did you attend?
Last Sunday, I went to the opera.
Beautiful. What did you see? What were they performing?
It was The Black Clown, a Devonte Tynes retelling of the Langston Hughes poem.
I love that.
Very interesting.
And tell our listeners how much you paid, because you're the queen.
$11.
Yeah. You're the ticket
We have
whisperer.
a $11 starting fee, pay what you want, tickets for the opera.
Yes, and you can too. So I always encourage people to check that out because I'm so grateful you told me about it.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. I went
so
to the whole season.
It's summer is upon us. We are glad to be back in our chairs. I'm so glad to be back after my injury. I don't want to make this live stream about that. You can go over to my Substack or my personal website, www.autisticburnoutproject.com, and you can check out the story of how I lost my right hand, strange friends. But today is about strange stories and a little bit of shaking off the heaviness of winter and welcoming summer.
Yes.
And we just really want to start the holiday weekend being silly with some silly videos.
It is nice to get back to it as the weather's getting nicer.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people are disappointed with the weather this weekend on the East Coast. It is chilly, but I don't think it's about the beach anymore. I don't think. Is anyone out there? I mean, mention it in the comments in the chat. Are we affording beach vacations this year? Is this a thing?
My cousin is at the beach right now, so.
Oh, your husband is a.
My cousin.
Oh, I thought you said your husband. I was going to say, like, he doesn't follow normal rules, or he's like your ex-husband doesn't follow, the norm or the way of things. But I'll tell you, I think people are going to their second job in summer. I don't think vacations are a thing anymore. And I think a lot of people that used to be employees are now 1099 contractors, and they've been sold a fake promise of entrepreneurship, and that comes with no vacations. And so I think if anything, a lot of people are just enjoying being able to sleep in this weekend. And for that, rainy, cold weather is the best. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's great to just take this Memorial Day weekend, sleep off your burnout, and look outside, and then you won't have any FOMO. You won't have any feelings of missing a vacation that never was. So I have a lot. Reddit is a weird place. And if you're looking for weird and wonderful things to just bleach your worry sponge about, I think Reddit is the place. Do you want to hop on into it with a Reddit about the Truman Show delusion, Christine?
Oh, let's go. I look forward to that.
So, yes, me too. So let's share this screen.
It was interesting to see what other people are sharing my own delusions. Where are we at? Oh, you're getting your screen up?
Bunch of, let me see see. I have curated a story about.
For anyone not familiar with the Truman Show, dude,
Right. So, can you
it
see
is
this?
basically when
Go
you
ahead.
think you're doing a reality TV show, only you're living your real life.
Exactly. So, in our bipolar, Reddit user Airlane, am I saying that correctly? Airlane, pardon me if I'm not, says, let's talk about the Truman Show paranoia. I've only had this paranoia twice. Holy shit, only. Only. So casual. But I remember it was very convincing. For those of you who haven't watched the movie, you basically believe that you're the star of a TV experiment and that everyone in the street is an actor portraying a role. For me, it got really convincing. I remember thinking it was the explanation as to why I was so different from others and how I was being experimented on. I saw myself inside a bubble. I still entertain the idea sometimes, even though I know it's fake. Have you had the same paranoia? And before we get into the comments, you have had the same paranoia, Christine.
Yes, I have.
What did it feel like for you on the inside?
For me, it was a lot of reasoning with myself about why it was true as opposed to why it couldn't be true. It was a lot of confirmation bias rather than curbing the idea that I was being watched because, we carry little cameras with microphones and tracking devices
Yeah.
at all times. And I basically detached from that and went wandering, thinking that I was being recorded the whole time.
Can you give us a
And
quick, like, chronological explanation of what happened to you for the listeners and viewers that aren't familiar, starting with, what precipitated the event?
I was in the process of getting a divorce, and my children were teenagers and didn't really want anything to do with me. Whereas we had used to do activities together all the time. They just didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'm going through that now. It's real.
yeah. And then my husband left and I was in therapy. So I thought that I was being monitored through the therapy and started believing that I was being watched at all times. And my mother would always say, God only looks out for drunks and fools, and you're not drunk, so what are you? And so
Oh, that is so, like, that generation has about like a million of those.
So I started detaching from reality and believing that I was being observed at all times.
Yeah.
And
so just, can you give us a couple of your most wild shenanigans, highlights from the time that you felt that you were experiencing the delusion, like in the hottest parts of it? Like, what sort of adventures did Christine get into on her show?
I would go to the hotels and play piano in the lobby of hotels, even though I don't play piano.
I love you so much. Yes.
The one hotel I wound up
even though I don't play
and
piano.
climbing to the top of the hotel, and the cops had to be called, and I was told to come down and the cops knew my name, so I thought, this is confirmation that I'm being watched.
Yes. So you climbed to the top. Was it the Divine Lorraine? What hotel was it?
No, it was the Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, so you're at the top of the Benjamin Franklin Hotel, and the police
And a helicopter went by,
and
I thought
because
that was recording. And
for context, her family is in law enforcement. So
yes.
this only serves to reinforce
Mm-hmm.
your delusion and not bring you back into reality. And then what did bring you back into reality at the end?
I don't think anything brought me back to reality quite like living in the tent. And that was because the guy who lived in the tent who lived in the cabin where I had the tent, would joke with me about how we were being watched. And we would say that, the people we were dumpster diving from and the products that we were dumpster diving were from corporate sponsors. And it was just a way of coping with the whole situation.
But it was interesting. Once somebody shared your delusion, it broke. It seems like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
Interesting.
But then I also had a whole episode during that period where I wandered to Cairn University, which is a Bible college.
Oh dear.
And
Christine versus the Christians.
yeah, I had a Bible with me in the tent the whole time, and I was making notes and doing my own thing with it. And then I wound up wandering to this Bible college and came back and went through a whole phase where I thought that I was being watched again, even though it had broken originally. So
you went through kind of two phases of it as well, like the original poster, yeah?
I went through multiple phases of it. I went through at least 5 or 6 phases in a 6-year period.
It kind of feels like right now there's a very real Truman Show happening with all of the surveillance going on. So I'm wondering if we all, if you ever came out of it or if we all joined you in it.
That's the whole thing. That was part of why I left home during COVID, because it was just, I was constantly on these live streams and,
you were doing a lot of those like live stream meditation meetings and things like that. And so is that what you mean by constantly on the live streams?
No, it was like they would have virtual club nights where everybody would like chat and drink in their living rooms or yards. And
oh, nice. So you were just doing like a lot of meetings.
But they were like social meetings, online.
Yeah.
So, and they were all recorded and streamed.
And so, and I mean, it's 2026 now, but if we remember back in 2020, Zoom was new, right? The nature of those meetings, we were all kind of going to them for the first time. And that's what I mean by like, did we just join you? Like, did we just even out? Did it even out? Like, yeah, you had sort of a extreme version of it, but it's really hard to say where the line is, where it stopped.
Because kind of even keeled the past couple of years is knowing that everybody else is in it too. It's
crazy. And then the AI, the people experiencing delusion from AI, I think a lot of that is driven by similar forces that drive the Truman Show delusions. Now,
there was actually an opera this season called Complications Ensue. And it was, there was a whole song about the algorithm and how it, controls you on this kind of subversive level.
Yes, absolutely. I think our maybe that might be one of the focuses of our entire Strange Attractors broadcast, right? To help people see through the different layers of reality and ask questions about who wants you to believe in which reality. And I think you would probably agree with me that if our fellow strange friends out there get anything from this sitting around of us shooting the shit, it's that we want to help you understand layered reality so that you don't get conned by it. So I think a lot of what you said has come up in these comments here. Reddit user Mako Uzafai says, I get it sometimes. I'm convinced they, quote, can see me when I have the TV on. Same way with the PC screen. Sometimes I have them both on and I sit in the middle thinking they can view each other as they view me. I use Pandora without commercials, and I often think the songs, and especially for me, they kind of are. We're talking about that crossover between the algo and the delusion. But for them, they say this has been going on since the 90s. And for them, it's an indicator of mania.
When I was 18, I actually received a free Truman Show, a free Truman button, and a flyer about the Truman Show on the boardwalk in Atlantic City,
like a promotion
in front of Ripley's Believe It or Not. So
how symbolic! How symbolic! The Ripley's Believe It or Not museum on the boardwalk. I know exactly where that is. And so, yeah, that marketing was really strong. And what year did the movie come out?
1998. I was 18 years old.
Yeah, very, very impressionable at that age. Interesting. And that's right at the age where, like, I feel like there's a lot of trauma in graduating high school and, like, becoming an adult. And, you know, we had just...
not knowing what the hell you were going to do afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really tough. Our parents didn't... A lot of our parents' generation kicked us out at the age of 18 and expected us to completely make it on our own, or just stop supporting us if they supported us at all. Like, that's the hose drinking generation.
Until I was 40, when I left home to live in a tent. I lived with my mother the entire time. So it was like being monitored the entire time.
Yeah, so the norm was really to get out of your parents' house as soon as possible. The boomers did not want us in their home. Now I think up to 50% of, like, you know, the people in their 30s are still in a multi-generational household. The economics of it all, you know. But boomers wanted us out of their home, and they got us out of their home. So it was really unusual for you to have a mom who was still that enmeshed with you at that age. And for someone like me, it might have been feeling abandoned. And for someone like you, it might have been feeling smothered.
Claustrophobic. Yep.
We were also expected to have all the energy in the world, and that can easily spark mania. You're not really encouraged to rest, especially not in the 90s. So, you know, I see the connection to mania being like super, super strong.
And we were all hyper caffeinated and
absolutely, you're right. The
chemical
things and interesting here. Cheney 1671 says, I've sometimes felt like I'm in a video game and have felt unreal. So I think we're seeing it manifest maybe more in video games with this generation.
Yeah, like The Sims.
Yes. This guy's delusion, I'm going to read it. Full 180 Super Trooper writes, yep, I was stuck deep in it for over 6 months. I can't even begin to describe the adventures I went on and the hell of the aftermath. The crazy thing is, I was convinced that I was required by Elon Musk and some elite team of scientists to document everything in writing that I was experiencing daily. So I have about 300 pages plus written in a Word doc that details all of my psychosis and the delusions, hallucinations, and such. This happened for this reader as well in 2020 during COVID. I had no one living with me during lockdown and went skipping down the crazy psychosis rabbit hole without a soul noticing. Oh, that poor, I think it's a man, poor person. Finally got stopped and hospitalized, but not before a few stupid arrests. I drove up to the Canadian border, pretending I was seeking religious asylum. My delusion-y Truman Show producers convinced me it was fine. I had no idea the borders were shut down and fully armed with hundreds of troops until I pulled up to the crossing. And not a single car in sight. They tore my car apart, threw me in a cell for a couple hours, where I simply continued thinking this was all for the TV show. I sat talking to Canadian security camera for hours until they finally gave up trying to effing figure me out, put me in my car back on U.S. soil, and told me not ever to come back. I like that he confused the cops so much.
Yep.
They released him from jail. What were your adventures with police like when they didn't have direct orders to be kind to you from your parents? Those suburban cops. What did they do when they found you?
I remember lying to a cop and telling him I was a.
Oh, we
And
lost you. I got you back. Yeah,
I,
you lied to the cop, and then what else? What
I
did
told
he
him I was
say?
a protest marcher from Canada, and I was marching for world peace and the environment.
What did
And
he say? Like, what was the response of that poor policeman?
he
Do
wound
you
up
remember?
putting me in the back of the car in his jacket until
Aw.
an ambulance came, and then he put me in the ambulance. And the ambulance took me to a hospital. And at the hospital, I was still in delusion mode and thought that the doctor there was a representative of one of my best friends, and who also worked for the city of Philadelphia and the police, and that she was taking my signature on like statements so that it would all be documented. And I was really signing legal papers to be committed.
Oh my goodness.
So then I wound up in the hospital, and it was during COVID. So it was a completely different hospital experience than anything I had had previously.
Right.
None
Was
of
it
the
in the city
patients.
or suburbs?
I was sent to Horsham.
Okay, that's far
And
from
I had
Philly for people that
previously
don't
been in
know.
Horsham, and they had like yoga
Oh, that's
and
really nice.
all kinds of activities. And this time, because of COVID lockdowns, the patients weren't wearing masks, but all the doctors were wearing masks. And they would test
Weird.
our oxygen levels constantly
Okay,
to make sure that we didn't have COVID.
right.
And we were just left to our own devices of like talking to one another and figuring out the conspiracy of COVID
I
in
think
the
you're probably
hospital.
better off. I think you were
And
probably better off with each other than you would have been.
it was very interesting. And we got into Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters and how they were exiled to Mexico, and all this conflict with Mexico was partially drudged up by them, by the Merry Pranksters. And so now I follow them on Facebook even.
So, did you find that when you arrived, your delusions were already like ready to sync up with these people? or did you have to sort of? Was there like a period where
Oh, and
you
I had told the cop
adjusted?
that I was protesting for the environment, and there was a Rolling Stone with Greta on the cover, and oh, where is this book? 100 Acts of Minor Dissent by Mark Thomas was a
That
book
sounds like a
that
wonderful
someone
book.
had brought into the hospital with them
Uh-oh.
and had us all read.
Uh-oh. Unsupervised by the staff afraid of COVID. Yes, this should end well. Sure. What happened?
Yeah. So then the whole book was basically what I had been doing.
Inspiration. That was it. A
Yeah.
shared delusion. Yeah.
So
And
it was
I like it.
it was
That actually segues. After this, we're going to talk about
a very interesting.
schizoanalysis. So that, you know what I mean? Like that segues really nicely into it. Like,
Mhm. It was a
who
very
was
interesting
sane at that
hospital
period?
stay, and then I wound up leaving and coming back, and there were still some of the same patients there.
Mm-hmm.
so
Of
I
course.
left,
I mean,
and then 2 weeks later I came back, and some of the same patients were still in the hospital, and I was like, well, this is confirmation that I'm in a setting with actors, and like, yeah,
yeah, you're like, oh, see, it's still the same. Oh, I am so sorry. Let me
was an actor.
get ahead of this. There. So, let me see if there's any other juicy ones before we switch to another. This guy, again, thought he was in a video game. This is Reddit user opposite ad 5254. They thought they were collecting points to get out of the hospital. It was like my vision was fuzzy. I was mentally replacing people and friends that had similar characteristics. I just kept thinking the goal was leveling up and on to the next scenario.
Yep.
Yep. I tend to think my friends have my phone bugged. I feel convinced they heard me talking about wanting to get together, and that's why they're now reaching out to hang out or whatever similar sort of thing. And we synchronize a lot. So I think this, without having a word for synchronicity, he's talking about feeling like a synchronistic attachment with his friends or a
But I feel like
connection.
there's a difference with, I don't know how old that user is, but I feel
Yeah.
like there's a difference with our generation where we did actually socialize, and there was a level of synchronicity to our socialization because we would just go to an area and
Yeah.
hope that somebody showed up, and or know that somebody was eventually going to show up,
We would,
and we would congregate in
I
these
don't
areas
think we ever
where,
questioned that, but you're right.
yeah,
There was definitely the normalization of knowing when somebody was going to be around. You know what I
yep,
mean?
mhm,
And I completely agree. Like we had to be, but we never questioned it. I never questioned it. I never thought like I just thought like I know what time people arrive, but you're right.
mhm,
Like there is something about that. There's something of like a synchronicity
mhm.
about that. Um okay, I am going to share one more Truman Show fun one before we move on to glitch in the matrix ones, which I'm excited to also review. So let's plug this in. What are your thoughts on Reddit reactions so far? Do you like them?
It's fun.
I like them too. I like the live stream things.
I
So, yeah, I'm listening.
I've gone through reading Reddit on my own and actually commenting the reactions that I've had, and people don't like my reactions very much on Reddit because
Oh my gosh, I wish I found a thing with your reactions in it.
oh my god, there was
I
one
actually go
guy who
ahead.
was like, "I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, and all I do is drink and play video games all day," and I was
Yeah.
like, "But you're not so paranoid that you'll say all you do is drink and watch video games all day on
Did
a
you give
public
him extra
forum."
paranoia?
Like, yes, apparently, because he deleted the comment and the thread and everything.
Oh no.
It's like you're paranoid, but you're not so paranoid that you won't say this in a public forum. Like,
Right, so we talked about so far how the upcoming generation might see a Truman Show like delusion with video games. Um, and now I'd like to talk about what existed before the Truman Show existed. And this Redditor asks, in our Ask Science, words are hard. This Redditor comments, my understanding of this delusion is that it deals with someone who believes their whole life is a TV show. So, did this delusion exist before the movie, or was it brought on by the movie? What was it called before the movie? So, here's some theories. Some people say that there's something called the spotlight effect that covers some of the bases, but it doesn't seem to be as extreme as some of the delusional stories I've read before. Have you ever heard of the spotlight effect? I'm looking it up right
yes,
now. Can you tell me what your understanding is?
it's basically like, you know how they do the double slit experiment and the particle passes through when it's observed.
Yes.
So it's basically like that. It's like when you're observed, when you feel like you're being observed, you project a proper way of being, you know?
So I feel like this is like there was an experiment where they put a doll in a room with kids, and they asked, two separate groups of children, like, not to touch a book. And then they walked out of the room. And one of the children one group was alone and one group had a doll. And I am probably butchering this, but it's most likely tied to why religion works as social control, which is something we talk about being tied
Omnipotent
to
God.
your delusions as well. So Wikipedia says spotlight effect is the psychological phenomenon by which people tend to believe they are being noticed more than they really are. Ugh, we all have that. I think women are like constantly being told that we're fat, and people know. Being that one is constantly in the center of one's own world, an accurate evaluation of how much one is noticed by others is uncommon. The reason for the spotlight effect is the innate tendency to forget that although one is the center of one's own world, one is not the center of everyone else's. This tendency is especially prominent when one does something atypical, such as committing a faux pas. And I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that everybody isn't staring at you all the time, and nobody saw what you just did. And you're probably okay, so you don't have to go home and ruminate in the shower about it. Unless, what does that song Anarchy Burger say? Unless you've gone into the deli and urinated on the cheese, I don't think anyone is noticing you. Although I think a lot of neurodivergent kiddos and women have this, especially. So the spotlight effect is one.
And even if people did see you, they're not thinking about it the way you think about it.
Exactly. People suffer from an extreme sense that from this delusion. It says these guys, it sounds kind of like these guys are the only ones who have documented legitimate cases of it. So I think I love when people push back on the legitimacy of this very narrow thing. I don't think that it takes away from the diagnosis to discuss different ways it would have presented in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I am surprised that this thread did not mention what I think it used to look like: demonic possession. I think a lot of the times when people thought that God was talking to them or the devil was watching them, it was the same delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And your delusion, when it presented, I don't want to get too heavy. I want to move on to like fun glitch in the matrix stuff, but
Well, we can go.
I think it's like really closely tied to the Catholic Church and like religion and that spotlight effect.
Yeah,
And
the
it's
whole
almost
concept of exorcism is being observed and being treated as though it's an outside force acting on you instead of your own brain.
Yeah, so almost like Catholic exorcism is like a forced Truman Show.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Catholic, we both grew up in Catholicism. So when Catholicism asks you to believe in demons and the devil and good and Jesus, and that the devil can come and act on you, it doesn't legitimize and validate you as the creator of your own reality and the person who has power over your choices.
Mm-hmm.
It really is infantilizing. And I think that you are reacting to that. And I think it's infantilizing on purpose because children are easier to control than adults.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to take over a place and you're going to want them to assimilate to your culture and be really useful slaves, and you're going to raise the children to believe that someone is always watching them. And so the Truman Show fantasy is what the Catholic Church deserves. Before we move on, I thought this was going to be like 30 minutes, but we're really filling an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pick a nice juicy one from Glitch in the Matrix. I have like I'm going to go ahead and queue up a post full of posts so we can spook ourselves up and wash off all of the serious thinking we just did with some jump scares and some creepy stories. So let's see. The best of Glitch in the Matrix. Let's take a look and find the creepiest ones. Quantum immortality. The world ended in 2012. Have you heard this theory?
No.
Oh my god, you haven't heard this theory. Okay. So let's read it. Let's get to it.
Yeah,
Redditor Nick Hinton 333 writes, "Did the world end in 2012?" Hi guys. Before I get into this, I just wanted to say something. I realize that some of you are getting sick of me posting so much. To those people, don't worry. This is my last thread for a while. Oh, Nick, don't worry. It's the first one we've read of yours. This thread is purely conjecture and something beyond our capacity to really prove. So please, keyboard warriors and hyper intellectuals, go easy on me. Go easy on Nick. I've wanted to talk about this subject for a while now. The other day, I had a random urge to look into it again and read some old stuff. Just for fun. Ever since then, about 2 weeks ago, I've noticed other people talking about it again. But the strangest part is I cannot find anything online about it anymore. Like I said, you can find people talking about it casually or joking about it, but I cannot find any of the in-depth material I read before. Did
Mm-hmm.
all of those people delete their content? Let's get to what the real theory is. So, let's skip a little bit of Nick's backstory. So, did the world end in 2012? Well, it was the year scientists at CERN finally found the Higgs boson. You know, the particle Stephen Hawking predicted could destroy the universe? Or, in his own words, undergo a catastrophic vacuum decay. Well, what would happen if we destroyed the universe? Would we know? Maybe CERN accidentally created a black hole that sucked us in and we've been living inside it.
I
Physicists,
have heard that theory.
yes, so physicists actually believe that might be a possibility. So people who believe in that theory say nothing has felt right since 2012. OP agrees with this. He says maybe it has something to do with growing up and getting older, but ever since then, it seems the world descends more and more into chaos each day. Yada, yada, yada. They believe we are in a simulation. And after the universe was destroyed by CERN, our collective consciousness was moved into a computer generated copy of our world. Ah, very interesting. And I've heard this too. A lot of the people that tie the Mandela effect into this. Um, this is a strange attractor. This is definitely a strange attractor we should talk about the reality of. You can't disprove a strange attractor, right? So when we encounter spooky spooks like this, we can't disprove them, but I think a critic would say Nick sounds a little traumatized by growing up in COVID, um, which is also valid. I think my whole shtick is I like to say, why not both? Why not both? If this is how Nick perceives Nick's reality, then this is how Nick perceives Nick's reality. Physics is just as made up as Nick's reality. And unfortunately, we all collectively agree on the terms. But I think physicists and philosophers can't limit themselves to Western thought on this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about a conversation about, is our shared reality useful for us?
Mm-hmm.
Is our shared reality right now still useful for us? Women? People of color? I'm listening. Is our shared reality still useful
working
for us?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I love my favorite example of our shared reality no longer being useful is the King of England's penis is not safe in this reality. We've created foodstuffs and environments that have given the King of England dick cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And if a white man in power can't protect his favorite appendage, then why are we pretending the things that we think are safe deserve the moniker? In the interest of time, I'm going to share from the Deleuze subreddit.
Oh, your
One more,
favorite.
one more thread, and then we'll do Ask the Oracle, and we'll wrap up around 1 o'clock. I do have my digital oracle ready. I don't know if I didn't mention polling, but I bet
Yeah.
you could do a physical poll too. So we'll have 2 card readings. And after this last Reddit, where we will F with the philosophical and end on something we normally discuss. So
Wonderful.
I'm queuing up a Reddit thread. Thank you. I forgot what words sounded like. A Reddit thread titled "A Schizoanalysis of Trump and the
Oh,
2024 Election."
well, that's fun.
Let's get it. Redditor Zuki17 writes, upon learning the results of their election, I couldn't help but wonder why so many Americans, including Latinos, Black men, Arab Americans, and young men who tend to favor Democrats, historically from what I've seen, decided to vote for Trump. Even with all the racism, January 6th tariffs, mass deportation, abortion ban, authoritarian tendencies, and threats, etc. It reminds me of the famous quote from Anti-Oedipus.
Mm-hmm.
This quote, this is why the fundamental problem of political philosophy is still precisely one of that Spinoza saw so clearly and Wilhelm Reich discovered. Why do men fight for their servitude as stubbornly as though it were their salvation? Reich is at his profundest as a thinker when he refuses to accept ignorance or illusion on the part of the masses as an explanation of fascism. And he demands an explanation that will take their desires into account. Yes, the unwashed are indeed people. That needs to be said in 2026, which is stomach churning in and of itself. But let me get back to the post. An explanation formulated in terms of desire. No, the masses were not innocent dupes at a certain point, under a certain set of conditions. They wanted fascism. And it is in this perversion of the desire of the masses, this perversion, that needs to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the quote, and that is just true to every day. Oh, I wake up and I say that. Every day I wake up and I say that. We all say that. The post goes on to read, I'm sure most of us had heard misinformation and disinformation thrown around so much as one of the evils that Drumpf spreads, but can we only say that so much when we have also taken into consideration the possibility that Americans wanted to hear the lies that Trump had to say? It's an interesting question I've been pondering over, and I wonder what a schizoanalysis of the situation would reveal. Before we get to the comments, I want to hear your reaction. Nailed it, right?
Yeah.
We've got the reason one of my complaints about modern society is that it is so sociopathic and it
Mm-hmm.
lacks a theory of mind. A great deal, especially when the classes talk about each other, right? I think the working class also dehumanizes the Elon class, and I, I don't want to call them the elites because I don't think they're elite. So
Mm,
I'm going to call them the Elon class. They no longer deserve the title elite, and they can earn it back by giving us our pensions if they want to. But now, for now, I'm going to call them the Elon class because bumbling idiots from South Africa who think that they are smarter than they are is, I think, emblematic of the actions of the wealthy right now. We wanted to believe. Remember the X Files? I want to believe. We're the
yeah.
generation. We want to
We
believe.
want to believe. Yep.
Yeah. It's sad, right? We've been
Mhm.
infantilized. We're primed to be led, and we want to believe. We're primed to be led, and we want to believe. And when we break,
Part of the irony is that in the want to believe in Trump and his ethics, people would turn to The Art of the Deal, which wasn't even written by Trump. It was ghost written,
of course,
and
which
his
in
name
and of
was put on
itself is
it.
a ghost, a Disneyland ghost, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, a replication of what
Which
we wanted to believe the Disneyland lie. We wanted so hard for Tinkerbell to be alive and well that we took the lies because they were a new flavor,
mhm.
right? I think the lies of the politics of old had gone stale, and we needed a fresh lie to
Mhm.
believe. Yeah. Let's
But
check back.
especially white men needed a
Yes.
paragon.
Yes. They needed a mouse to believe in, right? They needed the
Mhm.
new Disneyland, and Trump, I believe, is the new Disneyland. Um, when when the mouse grew old, when Snow White was old and gray, we needed something to believe in, and
And now with the IRS ban, he's basically saying, "Don't look behind the curtain." Like,
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
yeah.
And most people will go on then. I'm going to say something that's going to make people very unhappy and very nervous. Most people are going to trade the Trump lie for the Democrat lie. And that is also a lie. And it's going to happen. And we're going to call it a victory, and it's not going to be a victory. Gavin Newsom is not better, he's just different.
Mhm.
And it's not happening. It's just happening slower.
Mhm.
Let's see what Reddit had to say. I think we do have some thinkers on Reddit. So I love this comment from Crafty Passenger 3263. They write, "Yes, it is a very timely quote. Thank you for sharing. You can really see desire as opposed to self interest at work here, I guess." And
Mhm.
what I love is this moment in time and schizoanalysis really gives us a why and a how for the explanation of this phenomena, desire opposing self interest, that we see often. But the user, Crafty Passenger, goes on to write, interest works within a shared or agreed symbolic. So once the mouse died, once we lost our shared symbolic, it was no longer working for us. it slowly loses power, they go on to write. Even when rallying or rafying rationalism and reason to its cause. So even when we're trying to rally up rational thought, desire begins to reshape and deterritorialize shared symbolics into different spheres, right? And
Mm-hmm.
again, I think that's the shared emotional immaturity baked into our post colonial societies at work. That's me, not the Redditor. I'll get back to reading. Stop my comments. Um, they go on to write like a Venn diagram in reverse, slowly unfolding the great simulacra, America, and the truly great historical version that never really even existed, invoked incessantly by Trump, seems to hold far more power than mere facts. Mere facts. I like how he writes that. However terrible, one thing you can say for him is that here we truly have a master of the image. We do. He's a great marketing mind. A huge amount to unpack in the examples you're given. There does seem to be an undercurrent or hint of essentialism in his thought, and the tendency toward his particular will and its prevalence. I dare not invoke its name, although it can probably be characterized as an Oedipal mirage, both sides are reflecting each other as flattened objects. A lot to unpack there. Commenting on the rhizome that is the Trump phenomena, and
Mm-hmm.
of course the neo Yahtzee. I don't want to get defunded or or the neo Yahtzee movement, and even the evangelical factions. These are all objects that Trump moves around skillfully to create new assemblages. And the world watches with mouth agape. Do you
Well,
have any comments
I
on
like
this?
what you said about the flattening of the Venn diagram, because that actually made me think of how these people also believe in the flat earth theory.
Yes, both sides reflecting each other as flattened objects.
Yeah.
Right?
And
So
it kind of makes
simplify.
sense in that whole.
We want so badly for things to be simple that we're literally inventing a flat earth.
Mm-hmm.
We're symbolically removing a dimension from space time
Yeah.
in order to like digest the reality in front of us. Uh, and with these easy, maneuverable, flattened objects, Trump can easily create a new Disneyland. Uh, and I
Because if you're smart,
absolutely,
you add extra dimensions.
yeah,
Stop trying to flatten the earth and
yeah, it's absolutely
explore
trying
the
to.
dimensionality of it all, because
We are too tired. We were not given the opportunity in childhood to think for ourselves, and we are infantilized. We think that people really believe in God. They really believe. We talked about, the spotlight effect.
Mhm.
They really believe in a very simple, flattened way that because they've done the right things, this is a temporary state.
Mhm.
And so when a con artist comes along and promises them their salvation is in the next thing, they think, oh, yes, my life is a story and I've had a rough patch, but it will end well because I have done the right things and God is watching.
Mhm. And I'll be rewarded in the afterlife.
Yes, the con goes past mere flesh and blood.
Yeah.
An excuse can be made for almost anything if suffering is currency in the afterlife. And I think you've hit the nail on the head on about how a lot of people look at it from the outside and they say, how can people claim Christianity and still cut food stamps and still cut social services? But the narrative for these people is that suffering is currency and that God is watching. Everything is part of a plan written by somebody else. You can just sit back, not worry about it. It will unfold for you. And God is watching. And so you can easily tell yourself, I was given the rules. I have not broken the commandments. When I did, I went to church. I confessed it. My soul is pristine. And so if something good happens to me, I deserve it. And if something bad happens to someone else, they deserve it. And if
I received
bad,
a zombie sacrifice to continue my life because somebody else sacrificed their life for me.
So you absolutely, yes. So the whole Jesus sacrifice thing, the commandment of or the act of communion is symbolic of a rescuer, a man named Jesus, who rescued us from our own dirty, filthy sins because we can't even make it out of the filth of our existence without a man coming to rescue us and a man creating the world for us.
Who they portray as a white man.
Of course, yeah, it's a white man. Of course, it's a white man. Of course, it's a white man, and other white men in church know him. Right? And so you need a savior, and you need to believe because God is watching. And no matter what the narrative is, if you know somebody who was a good person and they're suffering, then my mother had this narrative. You chose this. My mother was a charismatic Catholic, and she believed that, among other crazy things, like heaven is the seventh dimension and we share it. It's right next to us on earth. Not only is it all, she weaved into like quantum physics into Catholicism. That's what they do. Not only did she believe that, and I believe like that's symbolic of also delusion. It is true. There are those among us that share many different realities. And if somebody has a heaven delusion,
it's an alternate reality. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality, which is, since all of the realities are produced within our own brain and we don't really see everything, we agree on a shared reality, but we don't see everything, then, I mean, they're not wrong. But they're right, but what they are describing is not a objective fact. It is schizophrenia, you know, or some other way the brain works that takes it away from our shared reality. And I'm not quite sure why we're all still believing someone's schizophrenia from 100 million years ago or whatever, from 2026 years ago to be exact. So let's ask the Oracle, why the F are we doing this? We'll start with you, Christine. What deck are you using, and what do you have for us today?
I'm using the Kyle Gray Angels and Ancestors deck, which I know you're so fond of.
So, all the things that make me itch. Yes,
Kyle is doing his angel training again, and I went yesterday and I cried.
Oh, I love
The
that.
whole first session. And there's another session next Thursday at 2 Eastern that will go more in depth, and I'll probably cry even more. But
angels, that's another thing. Like, people that believe angels are always watching us, that's another spotlight effect.
yeah,
right? It's not always
exactly.
God.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the angels. And I'm going to get like a little deep. I like this as a metaphor for being a social animal.
Mm-hmm.
The angels, I believe, can easily be equal to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, which are described as people who have perfected human traits.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the idea of human capacity or human compassion and human love and human hope. These traits watching us, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we make our decisions. Are we thinking of the collective?
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking of our children? Are we thinking of our grandparents? And so that is a way I can make myself not hate angel narratives.
And being bathed in the divine light of the perfection of
The human traits, yeah, or the
human
angel
traits,
code.
you can elevate yourself to their consciousness level.
Yeah, it's a reminder that what makes us human is innate within us. I think, ironically, all these symbolic religious things are indicators the subconscious is telling us that morality is actually within us. We are born with it. We are social creatures. We have a shared morality, and it is often rooted in compassion. And I think our first contact with a human trait is compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that is from the mother.
Yep.
And of course, Romans didn't like that. So they had to invent a white guy that's watching us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to stop yapping. What does Kyle have to say about this mess we're living through?
I have pulled the Water Guardian. And in this card, take the time to understand how you really feel. Know that your sensitivity is not a curse, but a gift that allows you to receive and understand messages directly from your soul. Water is the element that is in your blood, your tears, and your flesh. The Water Guardian represents the angels of water who can help you dive within to understand the depth of your emotions. These angels are all about helping you see that your emotions aren't just the feelings that are on the surface. They are also old emotions that you may have locked deep within and the shadows of your soul. Through helping you acknowledge your deepest emotions, the angels of water help you to hear about the messages that they have for you, to unlock your intuitive powers and the energies of abundance. Your angels want you to know that it's okay to feel the emotions that are surfacing in you at this time. It doesn't matter if they are joyous or sad. They are all powerful messengers that allow you to understand what you need and want. Taking
Wait.
time
I want to interrupt.
What?
He fucking, like, we're doing it again, right? This, what you just read, we just talked about this, right? That you don't have to be afraid of the full range of your emotions because you are not filled with dirt and evil and something that needs to be watched over by a white man. Human morality, the angels and the bodhisattvas are within you, and they always have been, and they are not something that is watching over you. You don't need to be afraid of any of your human emotions. They are all part of the collective, and there's a safety in them. There's a
Yeah.
safety in processing what comes from within. So
And
you
these are the
don't let
guardians that
that
help you
go.
with your shadow work.
Yes, exactly. You don't have to be afraid
Yes.
of that shadow work. You don't have to be
Mhm.
afraid of being a human. The way we get to these higher emotions is through the mud. And we do not need carrots and sticks from scary white men watching us in the shower. God is a fucking pervert. Anyway, I wanted to acknowledge that. That's wonderful.
Taking time to breathe and acknowledging them lets them flow through you rather than crashing down on you as an overwhelming wave. Note that there are also intuitive psychic messages arising in you at this time, and unless you acknowledge everything as it comes up, you may miss important guidance that can lead you to support and love. So just
Yes. So don't ignore any of it, even if it's bad.
exactly.
BAT, or if you feel like you need your angels, you need your devils, you need your bodhisattvas, you need your yogis, your yoginis, you need all of it. You need
And the card
all of
says
it. It is
connect
all
with your
natural.
emotions.
Yes, don't be scared. So I would love to go to our app and also do a poll. I am sharing from the I just had a glitch. Strange Attractors website. My brain is glitching. I will show you after we do our card pull where you can find this app and do your own anytime
Mm-hmm.
to help the concepts behind chaos magic, help you move through your shadow work or whatever type of work you're doing. I asked the Oracle, what does this week ahead have in store for us? So I asked the Oracle about the future, and I asked for a 3-card spread. So the Oracle will give us 3 cards that tell us how the past informs the week ahead, how the present informs the week ahead, and how the future will be.
Mm-hmm.
Our first card is the isolated point in the reverse position. The meaning of this card in the reverse position is painful and unwanted isolation or fear of connection. We've spent this live talking a lot about the effects of COVID and how
Mm-hmm.
that informed the Truman Show. So I would pay attention to this card. A stubborn refusal to seek support when needed, or an inflated sense of superiority leading to alienation. I would say we might also be isolating aspects of our shadow that we fear, we're scared to let people know about or talk about, so they lack the support.
Mm-hmm.
Or we think we're better than the emotions we're feeling. So our sense of superiority is alienating some things that need to be processed. The prompts to process this, if you want to journal on it, is your isolation chosen or is it unwanted and destructive? So we might want to journal on how we're doing post COVID 6 years. Was that a trauma for us? Are we still isolated by it? Are there things in our past that we are isolating from ourselves that are keeping us back from achieving our goals?
Yep.
Right now, what we can do about it is cognitive dissonance in the upright position. Uh-oh, we have inner conflict arising from holding contradictory beliefs. We might have actions that conflicted with our values that we have to process. We might have to confront inconsistencies to find growth and deeper understanding. And didn't we just say that?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do that work right now. We've got to open up that journal and we've got to ask ourselves, where are we holding conflicting beliefs? And what discomfort is this creating in us? Now, if we do that work, what does the future hold for us? The Oracle says card 3 is the Lorenz attractor, the double helix. We opened up this discussion talking about a mirror of flattened objects right now being manipulated by the Drump. I don't even want to say he's an individual at this point. He's a movement,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we don't deal with our uncomfortable situations, we are going to end up feeling trapped or overwhelmed by the chaos, unable to find an underlying order, rigidly adhering to control, suppressing the necessary messy work that needs to be done. So if we find ourselves in that position in the future because we have not done the messy work, or if we find ourselves in that position anyway, trying to make our way through the messy work and feeling that we're unable to find the order in the mess, we can stop and ask ourselves, am I suppressing necessary chaos, or am I overwhelmed by chaos? I think that's some pretty good advice from the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to remind people where they can find our Oracle. We are at www.strangeattractorspodcast.com, and you can click on Ask the Oracle to use the Oracle tool yourself. You can pull a single card, a 3-card pull, or a 5-card pull, and the Oracle deck will be available in limited editions in 2027. We've gone a little long. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up this live stream for the Memorial Day weekend? What messages do you have to usher in the summer season for our strange friends?
The Memorial Day holiday is a day of remembrance. And to remember not only our past, but look at how it's informing our future, as you said in the card pull. Because we're headed into another time of war, whether we like it or not. And we need to hold one another close right now and really evaluate how important certain values are to us. But the main thing that I want you to take away is to hold on to your own sense of self. The Truman Show delusion, easy to fall into without the inner work of knowing that while everything may work out in your favor, you're not abandoned by those you love because of who you are. You're abandoned because of how you are. And if people don't like how you're moving through the world, they're not going to support it. So you need to reevaluate and recongress with your tribe.
And I think we've got I think that's perfect. And I think those journal entries and those journaling prompts and everything
Mhm.
we've been talking about, um, humans have a very flat sense of identity,
Mhm.
and we can actually hold within a human existence all of those conflicting things, and we can still be good people and move through the world as good people. And so
Mhm.
I think you touched on it a little bit, like we don't need to hold on to old values so hard that don't serve us just because we want to save face.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good place to end it. With that, we love you. We will be back next week with fresh episodes. Take care of each other, my little attractors, until we meet again.
Have a wonderful holiday.